Hello, hello, my lovely friends. Welcome to another Lissa video. Today we're going to talk about spices. I have a spice obsession, as many of you know, and let's talk about my top 10 choices. If I was to only have 10 spices and I had to pick, like right now, what would they be? Thank you for joining me today for this video. I thought this one would be really fun. I've had a lot of people ask me what are my favorite spices because I do have a spice addiction. I eat a lot of spices. I think they're awesome and they add such a different dynamic to a lot of raw vegan dishes. You can have the same base of a dressing, but you can make it taste like all kinds of things like curry or mustardy or spicy or oregano or herby. Like you can make it taste like so many different kinds of things with the same base and have so much more variety in flavor on the same kind of salad. So if you have a salad with romaine and cucumber, tomatoes and lettuce, you can make it taste like a curry, or you can make it taste like maybe an Italian style dressing or a Mexican style dressing. There's so many different possibilities, and that's what gets me so excited about spices. I absolutely love them. So if you're new to my page, welcome. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoy this video. If you're looking for awesome raw vegan recipes, I have currently five recipe books right here. You can get these are ebooks, and the print versions are available in the description box below via Amazon. You can also find this link in the description box below. So for spices, which 10 would I take with me if I only had to pick 10? And I had to leave my house and I could only pick 10 spices. Which ones would I choose? Well, number one, if you've been with me for a while, would definitely have to be smoked paprika. Smoked paprika is amazing. And yes, it's not raw because smoking this spice actually happens around the 210 degree Fahrenheit level. So it's not actually raw, but I'm also not a 100% perfect raw vegan. There are things that I eat in my diet that are not raw, but I don't cook any of my food. So things like cashews are not raw, but I don't eat them very often anymore. Very rarely will I eat cashews. I find them they're so high fat and they're easy to eat too many of. So I don't eat them as much anymore as what I used to. Nutritional yeast also, I haven't been eating a lot of, if any, lately in my diet. But nutritional yeast is also not raw. Maple syrup isn't raw, it's actually tree water, tree sap that's been heated at high temperatures to condense down into a syrup. Now that isn't raw because it's heated at high temperatures, but I do eat a lot of maple syrup in my diet currently. It's one of my favorite things, and as a Canadian, I love maple syrup. I know everybody does too because it's such a delicious thing. So I do keep that in my diet as well. And some herbs and spices are not raw because they are dried at higher temperatures. But for the most part, spices are dried at lower temperatures because if you dry them at high temperatures, it can actually change and alter the taste. Companies like to dry them at lower temperatures, like sun temperatures, which would be considered raw. So the majority of like basil and oregano and rosemary and all that kind of stuff, those are typically dried at lower temperatures to keep the integrity of the herb and the spice flavor. So smoked paprika, despite it not being raw, that would be my number one spice. I love the smoky flavor, and you can get different kinds of paprika. You can get a spicy one, you can get mild, and you can get a sweet version of smoked paprika, and that's the one I like to use. I find it gives a nice color to a lot of my dressings. And it's absolutely delicious. It's great in barbecue flavored things, curries. Really, you can use it for anything. The second spice that I would definitely not forget would be garlic. I'm a huge garlic fan. I love the inulin that feeds my good bacteria. I love the flavor that garlic gives and all of its health properties. I love garlic. So that's one of the top things that I would not forget. I have to take my garlic with me because it gives such flavor to so many different dressings and stuff. So I like it personally. I know there's some people out there who may get sick from garlic. It might bother their stomach, but Nate and I eat a lot of garlic. I would say on average, I probably get around 3 to 5, sometimes even 6 cloves of garlic every day raw in my dressings. So definitely a spice that I can't forget. Then comes onion powder, and onion powder has become quite quickly one of my top 3, really. Onion powder is amazing. It adds such a body to a lot of different dressings, and lately I've been really loving my sweet maple mustard dressing. You can make a living mustard by soaking your mustard seeds for a couple of days to wake them up, I guess, and make a mustard out of those mustard seeds. It's called That Yellow Mustard. It's in my dips and dressings book, and that's the mustard that we use on our burgers, we use in my dressings and all of that kind of stuff. So you can make your own mustard, much better than having the processed kind. But the onion powder is such a critical ingredient in a lot of mustardy. If you want to get that kind of like that angle in your dressings, just add some onion powder. It's delicious. I also like onion flakes. I'll add those to a dressing after it's been blended to get a little bit of crunch. Sometimes I'll sprinkle them on top of my salad to kind of have like a crouton texture a little bit. The dried onion flakes are really great too. Then comes curry powder. Can't forget the curry powder. The curry powder with the onion is a great combination as well. Curry just brings a totally different flavor to your meals. You can change up your salads just by adding a little bit of curry powder. So that would be my 4th favorite thing to take, followed by dill. Dill is delicious, and actually Nate and I just made some dill pickly dressing. Again, I don't normally eat a lot of cashews anymore, but every once in a while you gotta have some cashews. And this dressing is a higher fat dressing, but it's a dill pickle dressing, and you could pour that over kale and dehydrate it into kale chips. They're amazing, amazing. I highly recommend it, especially if you have friends or yourself you can't get off potato chips. The kale chips are a great alternative while you're transitioning over to a more hydrating diet. If you really have to have those chips, then that's a really good alternative. But the dill pickly dressing is so delicious. It's one of my favorite ones, next to the spicy ginger almond dressing for kale chips. So any of the high fat dressings in my recipe books can be used as kale chip dressings. So if you want to try a bunch of different ones, grab the dips and dressings book, because the last third of the book is all higher fat dressings. So great for converting your friends over to a dairy-free way of eating, using nuts and avocados and stuff like that. So you can make those dressings out of higher fat items. And once in a while, it's okay to have higher fat items if you just eat a smaller amount of them. Just make it appropriate. Then comes mustard powder. Mustard is one of my absolute favorites. Like I said, mustard and onion, great combination. I love, 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 love it. And again, you can make that yellow mustard with using mustard seeds, but if you don't want to make that, you could always use mustard powder and just add that to your dressings to give it kind of that tangy zing. That's definitely one that I would not forget. Then we have oregano. I love oregano. I prefer fresh oregano, but the dried oregano is really versatile because you can rehydrate a little bit and add it to a date-based dressing to kind of give it that flavor. I like to add it last to my blender so it doesn't kind of get bitter through the blending process, especially if you're using fresh herbs. Like if you're using fresh basil, fresh oregano, fresh dill, you always want to add it last and then just pulse it in slightly to release the flavors without over blending. Because if you over blend, especially cilantro, if you over blend it, it kind of gets a little bit bitter and it's not as awesome. So just pulse it in or use the dried herb. The next one would be chili powder. Now there are 2 different kinds of chili powder. Chili powder as just a chili in a powdered form, or there is the chili powder blend, which is what I refer to when I refer to chili powder. But I like a lot of different chilies, so it's really hard to decide. I like the blends because it gives it kind of that Mexican flavor to dishes, but you could always stick with just plain chili powder. Depending on the chili, there's cayenne, there's morta chipotle, there's all kinds of different delicious chilies, ancho chilies. Yeah, there's like tons to experiment with. Even the scorpion chilies are pretty intense, habanero chilies. But yeah, the chili powders are kind of more of a specific blend for Mexican flavored dishes. So if you're doing things like a Mexican burger or a taco salad, you can add those. So that's definitely one that I would have to take with me so that I could have that kind of flavor added to my salads. And then the last 2 would be turmeric and cinnamon. Turmeric, the reason why I would want that is because of the health benefits of turmeric. Turmeric root or turmeric powder are really great. I would love to take with me black pepper if I could choose an 11th, but otherwise turmeric is great. Black pepper actually helps you absorb a little bit more of the turmeric, the curcumin in the turmeric, but it's not completely necessary because you do get some from the turmeric. But it's also good paired with the chili and the mustard and the onion. You can add turmeric powder to almost everything, unless you really don't like the taste, but I don't really notice it in anything, so I do like to add it more often because of the anti-inflammatory properties, anti-cancer, all that kind of good stuff, so I like to add it. And then the cinnamon, I decided to throw in a sweet one, so you could have like a cinnamon banana date smoothie. You could put cinnamon on meme sapote and have like a pumpkin pie flavored dessert. And cinnamon is also really good with curries and things like that to give it that little bit of a sweetness. I do add cinnamon or allspice to the dill pickle to give it that little edge, that different edge, but cinnamon definitely is one. It's also good for balancing blood sugar issues, so if you're having any issues with that, then it can help a little bit there as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, you can find all of my recipes using tons of different awesome epic spices here at this link. I buy a lot of my spices from Silk Road in Edmonton, Alberta. I think the head office is in Calgary. That's where I order a lot of my spices from. I love their quality and they're such a great company. So again, no affiliate, no nothing. I just love them. So if you want, you can head over to their website and grab some of their stuff. But yeah, all of the recipe books right here, print versions in the description box below. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Raw Food Romance, on Facebook, Lissa's Raw Food Romance, and on Snapchat, Lissa Raw Vegan. So until the next video, guys, I hope you enjoy your spices and fruit on.